Hello friends, today I will talk about a magnificent flower and many issues related to the care and production of this flower. Cabbage flower, which draws attention with its similarity to cabbage, is generally used as a garden plant. This species, which is used as an ornamental plant, is mostly grown from seed. What is cabbage flower? We have compiled the details of how to care and what are the features. Cabbage flower care is extremely easy. It grows more comfortably in soils rich in vitamins and not too moist. It is also known as ornamental cabbage. Due to the fact that it likes the sun, it is cultivated in the open air in a much more comfortable way. What is cabbage blossom? Cabbage flower. It is a plant belonging to the Cruciferae family. It has a herbaceous structure. Cabbage flower is also known as ornamental cabbage. It is much more comfortably grown outdoors. For this reason, it is not recommended to grow this plant indoors. These plants are mostly annuals. It can live for a maximum of 2 years. They grow between 10 and 30 centimeters. How to care for cabbage flowers and what are its features? The leaves of the cabbage flower can be cream, yellow, pink, green as well as in mixed shapes. It is generally preferred as an ornamental plant due to its beautiful leaves. This type of flower is usually grown from seed. Seeds are sown in July. These seeds should not be buried too deeply. Cabbage flower likes bright and sun. The soil where it grows should have a low acidity and lime ratio. It also has a cold-resistant structure. If the temperatures rise or fall too much, the leaves are adversely affected by this situation. How to plant ornamental cabbage? Ideal time for planting: you can plant ornamental cabbage in the spring, 3 to 5 weeks before the last expected frost in your area. This plant can also be planted in late summer, about 6 to 8 weeks before the first frost. Those living in temperate climates, 8th generation and above, can continue to plant ornamental cabbages in early autumn for a harvest period from late autumn to winter. Ideal location selection: ornamental cabbage can grow without problems in garden soil, raised vegetable beds and pots. As long as your house is bright enough, it is also possible to grow it at home. Soils rich in organic matter and well drained are ideal for this plant. The planting site should also receive plenty of sunlight. You need to make sure that your ornamental cabbage does not stand too close to tall plants that could cast a shadow on it. Placement: depth and bracing: you should place your ornamental cabbages with a space of 30 to 60 centimeters between them and plant them at the same depth as their pots in the greenhouse. You should plant the seeds approximately 6.5 millimeters deep. You do not need to choose any supporting structure. Ornamental cabbage care: light ornamental cabbage can grow in a balance of full sun to part shade without any problems. This plant will grow to full maturity if it receives direct sunlight for a minimum of 6 hours or more per day, most of the time. However, if you live in a hot, arid climate, you should ensure that your plant is in some shade, especially when the afternoon sun becomes scorching. Extreme heat can cause the leaves to wilt and the cabbage to become tasteless. Soil: ornamental cabbages prefer soils rich in organic matter with a moderately acidic pH. The high amount of nitrogen provided by organic matter is essential for the healthy and productive growth of the leaves of these plants. The drainage level of the soil should also be perfect. Irrigation: you should water your ornamental cabbages regularly. The soil of your plants should be evenly moist, but it should not be too watery. Ornamental cabbage usually prefers to be watered 2.5-3 centimeters per week. With the cooling of the weather, moist soil helps the leaves to remain aromatic and crispy, not hard and bitter. You can also contribute to keeping the soil cool and trapping moisture by mulching around your plants. Heat and humidity: these plants are generally considered to be one of the types of vegetables that are tolerant of cool weather, and it is assumed that they can tolerate some frost when mature. The ideal soil temperature for planting ornamental cabbage in the ground is 12 to 15 degrees Celsius. All cultivars of this plant prefer cool weather and become sweeter when affected by frost. Hot weather causes ornamental cabbage to taste bitter. Ornamental cabbage is a biennial herb. It completes its life cycle after 2 growth periods, or years, but it is usually grown as an annual. If exposed to freezing weather or snow, this plant will collapse neck. However, 7 to 9, where the winter season is mild. It can be grown throughout the winter provided that it is adequately irrigated in the next generations. Fertilizer: add some fertilizer to the top 8 to 10 centimeters of soil at planting time. Then, feed your ornamental cabbage during the growing season following the label directions on your fertilizer. Organic fertilizer or a vegetable fertilizer with a high nitrogen content would be ideal. Types of ornamental cabbage: there are many types of ornamental cabbage. Each one is worth a try. Curly-leaved species are known to last longer in cold weather. Flat-leaved ones usually wilt earlier. Here are a few types of ornamental cabbage you'd love to grow. Hanover salad. The leaves of this fast-growing species also develop quickly. This type, which can be consumed raw in salads, tastes great. Lacinato. It is a type of wrinkled ancestor seed that grows in Tuscany. It is also known as Tuscan cabbage, or Italian cabbage. It is possible to collect the thick leaves of this species even after snowfall. Red boar. The purplish-red leaves of this species have curly edges. It is known for its mild taste and crunchy texture. Red Russian. The leaves of this species are smooth and soft, with purple hues on the veins and margins. It is one of the most flavored types of ornamental cabbage. Bates. The leaves of this dwarf species, which are resistant to both heat and cold, are curly and exhibit blue-green hues. It is known to come from the curly, blue-colored, dwarf ornamental cabbage grown in Scotland. Crop picking: it takes about 2 months for your ornamental cabbage to grow from seed and mature. To determine a more precise date, you can find out the ripening period by checking the seed packets or by reading the label of your plant. The crop of ornamental cabbage planted in the spring can be harvested until the end of summer. However, the plants will become tastier after a mild frost. You can chop the young ornamental cabbage leaves into salads and collect them for fresh consumption, or you can collect and cook them after waiting a little longer for them to mature. For this, pluck the outermost old leaves. Do not touch the core of your plant to keep it growing. Ornamental kale can keep for up to a week in the refrigerator, preferably in the crisper section. Growing in pots: growing ornamental cabbage in pots is extremely easy. The pot allows you to easily move your plant to other places to provide the sunlight it needs or to protect it against harsh weather conditions when necessary. In this way, rabbits, who love to wander in the gardens, are curious to gnaw the leaves of plants, etc. You can also protect it from witches. Also, if your garden is not large enough or you cannot provide ideal conditions for your plant, it may be ideal to grow it in pots. You should prefer a pot with a minimum diameter of 30 centimeters. You should make sure that the pot has large drainage holes on it. Earthen pots are ideal as they remove excess moisture from their walls, thus helping to prevent root rot. You should use a quality soil mix. An organic mix used in growing vegetables would be a great choice. Move your ornamental cabbage to a pot with the same depth as its previous pot and do not neglect to water it after planting. Reproduction of ornamental cabbage: ornamental cabbage is usually grown from seed or purchased from greenhouses. However, it is also possible to propagate this plant by cutting the stem. This method is an inexpensive way to get a new plant. The ideal time for this is the beginning of spring or the end of summer. Here are the steps you need to follow to propagate your plant with the stem cutting method. Trim a stem with a few leaves that sticks out from the edge of the main stem with a pair of garden shears. Cut off the leaves from the lower half of the stem. Trim the lower part of the stem just below the leaf node at a 45-degree angle. Dip the cut end in rooting hormone. Plant the lower half of the stem in a small pot filled with a moist, soilless mix with drainage holes. Continue to keep the mixture moist. Roots develop within a few weeks. If you feel resistance when you pull the stem gently, it means that the roots have started to form. Then your plant is ready to be moved to its new location. Growing from seed. Ornamental cabbage seeds can be sown directly in the garden or sown at home and then transported to the garden. To plant the seeds directly in the garden in cold climates, you must wait for the soil temperature to reach at least 7 degrees Celsius. Sow your seeds at home in a soil mix prepared for planting about 6 weeks before the last frost date. Ornamental cabbage seeds germinate quickly in warm soil and germinate in 5 to 8 days. Cover the seeds with about 6.5 millimeters of soil and water the mixture. You can move your seedlings outside after the danger of frost has passed. Common pests and diseases. Ornamental cabbage, like other species in the cabbage family, is a frequent host to pests and mold diseases. In addition to diseases such as black mold and clubroot, pests such as aphid, cabbage caterpillar, cabbage worm, field worm, flea beetle and slug can be found in this plant. The best defense is to check your plant regularly for signs of larvae or eating the plant, such as holes in the leaves. When such problems occur, it is necessary to intervene immediately.